Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Pokemon Blue version. Today, we finally take on the Vermillion City Gym. One thing to also note, this should be the last episode where we have no in-game volume. So first things first, HM01 cut, we will need to teach this to one of our Pokemon so we are able to access the gym. So there's many Pokemon that can learn this HM. I tend to prefer ones that I can use for multiple HMs when possible. So you can use Ducks if you have him. He can learn it, and then he can learn some other moves. Um, Bellsprout and Oddish are also a good choice since we caught them recently. So if we go here, I pulled the Bellsprout out of my PC, and I am going to teach it Cut. This way, I have Cut with me without possibly compromising a team member. So Percy could have learned it, but I don't really want to use it on him. So now we head down to the gym. To use Cut, you will have to go to the Pokemon in your party, select it, and select Cut. In future games, it does become easier because you can just select the tree and it will automatically give you the option. If we come over here to the sign, Vermillion City Pokemon Gym, leader Lieutenant Surge, the Lightning American. One of the most random titles. Yo, champ in the making. Lieutenant Surge has a nickname. People refer to him as the Lightning American. He's an expert on electric Pokemon. Birds and water Pokemon are at risk. Beware of paralysis too. Lieutenant Surge is very cautious. You have to break a code to get to him. So the code relies on these trash cans littered about the room. It's up to you if you want to take on the gym trainers. You can kind of work around them, but I tend to take out these trainers beforehand. That way I don't have to worry about getting interrupted in between solving this puzzle. So this puzzle is unique because it is actually broken, kind of. So in red and blue version, the first switch will be one of the 8 cans, like kind of forming a checkered pattern starting from the corners. But the second can should be to the left, right, up, or down from it normally. But due to this glitch, there is a chance that the top leftmost trash can will contain the second switch, regardless of wherever that first switch was. So, one strategy to solving this puzzle that we will be taking on is find a trash can, go to that top left corner, check it. At the time of recording this, I did not remember correctly, so I will be doing the puzzle legitly for the most part. I do one attempt where I try it, but I go to the bottom right instead of the top left. So this is a weird puzzle. In yellow, it is slightly fixed, so the first switch can be one of the 8 cans, just like in red and blue. And depending on where it is located, the chances of the trash can being to the north or west of it kind of vary. So usually it's a 25% chance for them, but there are the north and west cans typically have a 50% chance of holding the second switch. So those are your probably best two to pick. Yet there is still a glitch in it. So if the first can was a top can of the middle column, due to the glitch, the game attempts to randomly pick from 256 a possible pair of cans for that second switch. Most of which are going to correspond to blank neighbor data or a previous invalid data about the neighbors of the other cans. So this is going to result in an 84% chance that the top left can has the second switch, and a 0.8% chance roughly that no can has the second switch, and a 15% chance it's either one of the cans anywhere among the four around it. So it's just really weird. And then if it's in the bottom of the middle columns, it's basically kind of the same thing, where going to that top left will be your preferred choice. There's a small chance that it will be one of the four cardinal directions, and an even smaller chance that there is no can. So this is like the most difficult puzzle in the game, just due to the coding of it, which kind of makes it funny. So this gym is primarily focused on electric types, and I kind of find it interesting because, as it mentioned, Lieutenant Surge is the lightning American and all that, but he's also a soldier. And if we kind of look at the people in this gym, it kind of is interesting. So we just fought a rocker, which doesn't really go with the motif, but the rockers in this game tend to have electric types. Our other two gym challengers are this gentleman who says Lieutenant Surge was his strict CO, so his commanding officer. So he fought with him, or at least trained with him. And then the other one was a sailor, so maybe a different branch of the military for this game, or however the military might be in this. But with them all using electric types, Kaiser has a natural advantage in this gym with his new ground typing. Ground is immune to electric attacks, so he has an extreme advantage. A lot of these attacks would not be able to hurt him, and with his pretty bulky defenses, them probably going to be using normal attacks won't do much either. One thing to note in this game, electric Pokemon can be paralyzed. In future games, this is changed, but Stun Spore could still work possibly on the electric types. But, I kind of had an issue where it didn't work that time, and I kind of just reverted back into now modern standards with it and not really relying on it. But here I sent in Kaiser, was immune to Thunder Shock, and then took out Pikachu with no problem. So this is why I don't really want to use Kaiser against Lieutenant Surge unless absolutely necessary. So now that we defeated all the gym trainers, I'm going to go heal up. Once again, remember to go to your Pokemon to use Cut. That way we can be ready for, once we solve that puzzle, to get our third gym badge. So this gym is kind of interesting with how just it works. That whole glitch thing just kind of makes it crazy. And when it comes to Lieutenant Surge, his team varies greatly depending on which game you're playing. And I would argue it's tougher in this game versus Yellow. But either way, you can get some good ones. So here's me checking these trash cans. So, nope, there's only trash in here. Go check the next one. Nope, there's only trash. Okay, we found a switch. So it should be to the left or up, or as I said, that top leftmost one. So I have to determine which one I want to pick. In this case, I decide to, I believe, go to the left. But when I was originally recording this is where I was explaining everything. So I get unlucky, and if you happen to pick the wrong switch, the locks reset. So now I proceed to go look for a new trash can that works. Accidentally click on that one twice. Just walking around. Kind of a boring process. So I think this is the last time I actually like find it where you can watch the full process. And I think after this one I start cutting, and I get really unlucky with this, where I'm literally coming down to the last 3 cans, and this is where the guy gives you the hint. The lock is right next to it. So nope. So this case, it is in the top leftmost corner, so it should be to the left or right. I should have a 50-50 shot here. Nope, picked the wrong one. So it resets. So there's 2 tries. Okay, going around. Found the switch. Okay, I found that one pretty quick. So now I try the one next to it. Nope, 3. Try that again because it reset. Nope. Nope. There's another one. Okay, so this could be left, right, or up. But this is the one where I make the mistake of thinking it was the bottom right instead of the top left. So this is the 4th attempt. More honestly my fault. I forget exactly how many attempts it took me. Okay, there's another one. Nope, 5. I thought I cut this more. That's kind of funny. Nope. Nope. I was really unlucky with this puzzle when I was doing it. Second time is the last trash can. Come on. Okay. There's 6 tries. Just working my way through. Okay. We're on try number 7. Nope. Okay. Found it there. So this is number 8. Nope. Okay, cut again. This is number 9. Nope. Okay, number 10. Did we get it on number 10? And we finally got it after 10 tries of this puzzle. I don't understand why it took me so long. Okay, so have my team set up in the order I want it. We're going to start off with Parasy. You won't live long in combat, that's for sure. Yes, as a 10-year-old kid, I agree. I tell you, kid, let your Pokemon save me during the war. They zap me my enemies into paralysis, the same as I'll do to you. So, Lieutenant Surge. Once again, he varies a fair bit depending on which version you're playing. In red version and blue version, he has 3 Pokemon, where in yellow he has 1. In red and blue, he starts off with his level 21 Voltorb. Voltorb does not actually know any electric attacks, but it has Sonic Boom, which does the fixed 20 damage. So this is where I start using Leech Life to get my health back. That way I can kind of compete against that Sonic Boom. So we get some health back. He uses an X speed, so this raises the Pokemon speed stat by 1. This can be very useful because it can lead to more critical hits. Granted, the only move of Voltorb's that should be able to land a critical hit is Tackle. So we don't have to worry too much here. So we just keep going with Leech Life until we knock out Voltorb. Just a little bit more. Okay, one thing I also want to mention about Lieutenant Surge as we go along, and I'll kind of mention his team as he brings it up. I'm a very big fan of the Pokemon Adventures manga. And in this manga, the gym leaders are very interesting. So, in the manga, basically the gym leaders are split into 2 groups for the Kanto gym leaders. There are 4, technically 5, good gym leaders and 3 slash kind of 4 bad gym leaders. Lieutenant Surge's second Pokemon is Pikachu, level 18. It's only in red and blue. And its only attacking moves are Thunder Shock and Quick Attack. So if you have a ground type, it really takes advantage of this. It does have Thunder Wave, but ground types will be immune to it. But with the gym leaders, like Brock and Misty were the good gym leaders. But Lieutenant Surge was our first case of a bad gym leader. He was actually a member of Team Rocket in the manga. And he was evil along with, as we're going to see, a few other gym leaders. We haven't met all of them yet, and I'll explain which ones fall under which as we go along. And now, with Lieutenant Surge, we reach his final Pokemon, Raichu. This is the one Pokemon he has again across all the versions. And in red and blue, his Raichu is level 24, with the only attacking moves being Thunder Shock and Thunderbolt. And you see here we got the paralysis off. This means if you have a ground type, Raichu can't do anything. In Pokemon Yellow, he only has Raichu, but it's level 28 with the moves Thunderbolt, Mega Punch, Mega Kick, and Growl. So he has moves to hit you even if you have a ground type. But once again, a lot of ground types tend to have high defenses. So those Mega Punch and Mega Kick, they do hit hard, but you should be able to resist them because a lot of the ground types also have Rock as their secondary typing. Okay, so back to the Pokemon Adventures manga. So Lieutenant Surge was an evil gym leader. He helped the evil team and all that. Was an antagonist for a while. And when it came to the Gold, Silver, and Crystal manga, they had a tournament where the Johto gym leaders faced the Kanto gym leaders. And at the time, due to plot stuff, Entei, Raikou, and Suicune were going around trying to find some chosen trainers to use them. And Raikou picked Lieutenant Surge because he didn't care if he was really good or evil. He just really cared. If it comes down to it, will you help me basically beat a bad guy? And Lieutenant Surge was kind of like, yeah. So it's just kind of interesting that he ends up having a legendary canonically in the Adventures manga, even though he was evil and all that. He does kind of reform, but it's just, the manga is crazy. I highly, highly recommend it. So we're getting close to beating Raichu. Parasy gets brought down to 2 HP. If he can outspeed him and get a good hit, we can win, but he barely holds on. And the Thunderbolt knocks out Parasy, unfortunately. So, with the low health, I'm just going to send in Genbu. Yes, I could send in Kaiser for a easy win, but I'm going to send this in. We get the paralysis while using Dig. Super effective hit for the guaranteed knockout. So we defeated our Lieutenant Surge and have earned our Thoroughbred badge. Whoa, you're the real deal, kid. Fine then, take the Thunder badge. Phoenix got 2,000. But more importantly, Parasy is evolving. So this is our second team member to reach their final stage, and Paris evolves into Parasect. Still a grass bug type. Oh, I'm so happy. The Thunderbird crackles up your Pokemon speed. It also lets your Pokemon fly anytime, kid. You're special, kid. Take this. Phoenix received TM24. TM24 contains Thunderbolt. Teach it to any electric Pokemon. So, as Lieutenant Surge mentioned there, we're now able to use Fly outside of battle. We have yet to get the TM. It is a very important TM. If you haven't played any other Pokemon game, it lets you move around the region real easily. If you have, you know how great it is. So here is Parasy now as a Parasect. Still hasn't learned any moves since Leech Life. I do have stuff planned for him where he should be getting it, and hopefully, and now with where we are in the game, it has truly started opening up. We necessarily did not need to beat Lieutenant Surge. He's not a necessary gym leader to beat in order. Misty is really the last one you have to beat in the correct order. But he is useful for getting that Fly, because once we get that, we're able to backtrack way easier. So now that with Lieutenant Surge defeated, I'm going to travel around and kind of show some areas we can get to using Cut. So this is me kind of explaining how we can go everywhere. We're going to be able to go back to Pewter City now. We need to go up north to Cerulean, because we remember that sign from last episode, not last episode, but the episode before that mentions the detour to take to Rock Tunnel. That's how we're going to progress. So even as a kid, like not really reading the game, basically I got to this point and kind of realized, okay, yes, I can go backtracking and all this. But the only place to go that I hadn't been was to Rock Tunnel. It was still directing me through the correct path, in quotes, to where I'm supposed to go. But once we got that cut, we could take on the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th gym in any order we want. It is complicated to do certain gyms out of order, and certain ones are kind of required. Like to get to Cinnabar, as I showed there, we're going to need the ability to surf on water. So there is a slight order with that one, but you can still kind of take them in mostly any order. So our first goal is to actually head back to Pewter City, because there is something actually kind of special available for us there. So to get to Pewter City, we're going to take this cave I passed over the first time, Diglett's Cave. So Diglett's Cave is a very kind of little small dungeon, and in Diglett's Cave there's only 2 Pokemon available in both versions, being Diglett and Dugtrio. Both Diglett and Dugtrio are pure ground types, and they're very fast ground types. So this is Diglett. You will run into Diglett 95% of the time, and Dugtrio 5%. And Diglett is known for digging. We kind of got reference to that earlier at the Digger's house, because he had a Diglett that learned dig without using the TM. So, with Diglett, he basically can sweep Lieutenant Surge's gym by himself. So if you want to, you can kind of come over here and get him. You may need to train it up slightly, But if you take the investment, sorry, I dropped a pen I was holding, to get the Doug Trio, he really can destroy the gym. And we can catch Pokemon even while they're underground, as we just saw here. So the main strategy for getting a Doug Trio is to have a Pokemon above level 22, so level 23 or higher, come in here and use a Repel. You are then able to walk around, and the only encounter you should get is a Doug Trio. So, with how this game was going, we're kind of naturally already at the level where we could have done this strategy. I could have came over here and easily caught one. And it makes the gym fairly trivial. But I decided not to. Another kind of catch to Diglett and Doug Trio is due to their speed, they're actually can be fairly difficult to run away from. So that's why I couldn't escape. This is kind of interesting because later on they gain the ability Arena Trap, which prevents you from running away. So I think that's kind of just a fun, maybe coincidence, or maybe that was the inspiration. But once you start getting Pokemon high enough level here, it's kind of easy to avoid encounters. And if you spray that Repel, you're probably not going to be running into many encounters as you walk through here. So it can still be beneficial to use one if you choose to. But if you have a fairly speedy Pokemon, you should be able to run a lot easier than kind of I have, because Parasy is not the fastest. So we are almost through Rock Tunnel, Diglett's Cave. We come to the other side. I went to Rock Tunnel, but it's dark and scary if a Pokemon can use Flash. So, making reference to a different HM that we're going to be getting very, very soon. So, we come out on Route 2. We cut down this tree. You can also catch Diglett and teach it Cut. I always found it interesting that it could learn Cut. I'm going to heal up real quick. But we are finally back in Pewter after multiple episodes of being stuck on the other side of Mount Moon. So I made reference to there is a kind of special thing here at Pewter. So when we first were in Pewter, I mentioned that at the museum, there's this little building we couldn't get past because of that tree there, because we didn't have the ability to cut. Now we have it. We can cut down this tree and we can enter the museum for free, or at least part of it. So we have these different here. We're proud to have 2 fossils of a very rare prehistoric Pokemon. Shh. I think this chunk of amber contains Pokemon DNA. It would be great if this Pokemon could be resurrected from it, but my colleagues just ignore me, so I have a favor to ask. Take this to a Pokemon lab and get it examined. Phoenix received the old amber. And this old amber is actually not our next team member, but it will be a team member eventually. It's going to be a bit before we can get it. I could speed around and do certain things to get it earlier, but I don't really want to do that. So he's going to be there for a while, but we're going to be getting other team members along the way to reviving him. So I'm going to stop by the PC, and I'm going to specifically switch out my Pokemon in my party, because I'm going to need a specific one. And I'm also cleaning out my bag while I was at it, and I do my classic dropping my bike off in the PC. You can now drop off the SS Anne ticket because we will not be needing it anymore. We will not ever be back on that boat. So dropping off my Max Elixir, Going to be dropping off my rare candies, the max potion. Just trying to free up those spots. That way I don't accidentally run out of room while trying to pick up stuff. I'm also think I'm going to deposit my... Yeah, I deposit my escape ropes. Because now with dig, I don't need them. If you did teach dig, you might want to keep them for the upcoming dungeon we have. Because it is a fairly long cave. But I'm going to deposit TM44. And my hyper potion. Because even though it's really good, it won't be that much use for us for a while. And you might want to deposit HM01. That's kind of a personal choice. Because if you just have a Pokemon you can easily get to with cut, you don't have to really worry about it. So I'm going to be running around probably with Bellsprout for a while. Just due to us not really having... We're going to have free spots, so we can use the cut. So we go back because I almost forgot. I think I drop off Diglett and I actually do walk off again because I forget about the trade that's up ahead. Because I'm focused on getting a certain HM. So we come down here. I get to this tree. I go to cut it. I think I start walking down and then I realize, oh yeah. So I literally realized right about that way, crap, I need to go back to my PC and I need to pull out the Abra we caught back around Vermillion City. Because there's a trade that involves an Abra. So there we go. Withdraw Abra. And now we can head back to Route 2 to go get an HM and go do a trade. So to note, for this upcoming HM, it is technically optional. Well, it is optional, not technically. But I do highly recommend you getting it. So we enter this first little house. He tells us about cut, kind of. But if we come up here, this guy is looking for an Abra, and he wants to trade for one for Mr. Mime. Mr. Mime is a pure psychic type in this game. Fairy type has yet to come about. And he's another really good choice to have as a team member with his ability to learn like psychic moves. He's really good at putting up barriers and all that to help protect your other Pokemon from damage and all that. So it's not a bad choice. And once again, the psychic type is the best type in the game by far. So yeah, his sprite's a little creepy in my opinion, but it's worth considering. Okay, so we're done talking to this boy. And if we check, we have Marcel the Mr. Mime. And once again, he will be the same level as whatever the Abra you traded was. He has the move Confusion, so we get access to a Psychic type move. And Barrier, which I think protects you from a status effects or some damage. I can't remember exactly. But we use Bellsprout to cut this tree and we can start heading down. And this is a way to get through Route 2 without having to go through Viridian Forest. So once a Pokemon learns Flash, you can go get through Rock Tunnel. So hi, remember me? I'm Professor Oak's aide. If you caught 10 kinds of Pokemon, I'm supposed to give you this HM. So have you caught at least 10 kinds of Pokemon? Great! You've caught 20 kinds of Pokemon. Congratulations. Here you go. Phoenix gets HM05. The HM Flash lights even the darkest dungeons. So, this is kind of, it's really out of the way. I don't really like the placement of this, but we get this Flash, and I'm going to teach it to Marcel. So Marcel's going to be running around with us. He's not a team member. It's like I mistakenly thought Bellsprout could learn it, but we have Marcel. Marcel's good. And really, this next dungeon is the only time you need Flash in the game. So it's not that great of an HM. We found an HP up. I'm going to use it on Gimbu, making him more of a defensive tank. And when I was doing this, I accidentally thought I picked Kaiser. I mean, not awful, but... And if we come down here, there's one last item for us to pick up, another Moonstone. So with this, you should be able to get most of the evolutions that require a Moonstone. So you could get your Nidorina to evolve into Nidoqueen, a Clefairy to evolve into a Clefable, or a Jigglypuff to evolve into Wigglytuff. So really, this is all that we can do with Cut right now. So we're going to head back through Diglett's Cave. Well, I'm going to head back through Diglett's Cave. I won't have you sit through that. And next time on Pokemon Blue version, I'll meet you around Vermillion City so we can head through Rock Tunnel. So I will see you next time.